Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another FPL video. I switched my team up a bit. Figured I'd show you all how my team did in the last game week and then show you my changes coming up after the international break going into game week 4. So, starting off with my goalkeeper in defense last week, I kept Sanchez, Trent, Shaw, Ayling, nothing new there. Shaw had a clean sheet in a very lucky win against Wolverhampton. And then, to be perfectly honest, I don't remember the results for these other games, but you guys can see 2, 4, and 2 points. Nothing crazy, nothing horrendous either, I suppose. But yeah, Luke Shaw got me a clean sheet bonus, so that was nice. You guys can see my overall points is like 240, and I had 59 points for this week, so you can kind of have an idea of how things went. The average this week was like 54 points, I think, so only slightly above average, but we're still in the green. Still in the profit, I guess you could say. So we're at an overall game week of like game rank of like 260,000, which isn't bad. I think there's like 7-8 million players, so it's been an alright start. But onto my midfield. I apologize for my dog barking in the background. Solid 10 points. Obviously had the penalty against Chelsea in the 1-1 draw. That was great. Should have captained him. I captained Fernandez, who blanked again. Got another yellow card, second time in a row. That's unfortunate. He only got me 4 points with the captaincy. That's pretty poor. Greenwood had me 8 points. Again, he scored for United. The winner, the only goal of the match against Wolves. As I mentioned earlier, he would have been a better captain choice. And then I kept Rafinha, who scored 2 games ago, and in this past game, only the 2 points, but Leeds has some good fixtures going forward. So, with the exception of the Liverpool game, I'm expecting him to do quite well in the upcoming weeks after the international break. And then, onto my attack. Antonio. Should have captained him, excuse me. Almost did. 11 points, another goal, and an assist, I believe. He absolutely killed it in a 2-2 draw against Crystal Palace, I believe. Should have captained him or Salah over Bruno, but what can you do? I made the wrong choice once again. Tony actually scored finally. Ings got an assist, so that's 3 in 3 for returns from Ings, not bad. Tony finally showing some promise, but he's had a price drop down to 6.4 million, and I've actually pushed him out of my team, which you guys will see in a minute. So yeah, that's how I did. A total of 59 points in game week 3, and on to bigger and better things, hopefully. So onto the team reveal for game week 4. I'm kind of just showing it all to you guys at once right here on the FPL website. I guess, well, first of all, starting off with the defense, I put in Ben White. He's been on my bench since the start of the season, but then obviously Arsenal had some pretty tough fixtures, and then Ben White himself contracted COVID. But I believe he is fit to play now, and despite the fact Arsenal have been terrible, I do want to give them, cut them a little bit of slack. They had 2 really hard fixtures in Chelsea and City, obviously. And I think a home game against Norwich is about the best chance of a clean sheet that they're going to have this season, despite their bad form. I would expect Ben White to get back in the team as well, which should help their defense. So, you know, kind of that's what he's got going for him. A slight bit of a differential, I guess. Like 13% ownership, roughly. I mean, I'd rather play Ben White against Norwich than, like, Livramento against West Ham, who've been really good going forward, and over Ayling, I always mispronounce it, who obviously played Liverpool. So I've thrown in Ben White, gone with the same defense as last week for the rest of it. Then on into my midfield is where things change. You guys have probably noticed by now, no Bruno Fernandez. Well, I brought in the big man, Cristiano Ronaldo. He doesn't even have an updated player picture yet. He's obviously yet to play for the club, but playing over the international break, he is fit, scored 2 goals against Ireland, Portugal. Beautiful goals in the last 6-7 minutes of the game. Super clutch player, obviously. Ronaldo needs no introduction. But I think with the potential debut against Newcastle, he could be a fantastic player to bring in here. And I do think getting him in early, when he's still, at the time of recording this, only at about 12% ownership, I think it's ideal to bring him in now, because if he does get any large holes against any of these next 4 opponents, really, Leicester game, it starts to get a bit tough for United. Very tough, actually. But these next 3 or 4 fixtures, I think, are a great time to have him in the team. Bruno Fernandes, obviously, as well. But the reason why I've opted for Cristiano over Bruno is basically that I think he will take some of Bruno's, not his only his goal scoring ability. You know, Bruno's obviously always will be and always has been a fantastic goal scorer for United, but I think Ronaldo coming in kind of takes that duty off of Bruno a little bit. And then obviously set pieces get Bruno a lot of points in FPL. I think Ronaldo will be on pens, in my personal opinion. Him and Bruno, both fantastic penalty takers. We'll have to see how that goes. But I reckon Cristiano Ronaldo, you know, the ego, the confidence, you could perhaps call it arrogance. He's going to come into the team. He's going to want to be the top goal scorer, you know, going for the golden boot, really. And he's going to want to be on penalties and potentially even free kicks. So that's why I've stuck him in my team. It's a bit of a gamble. I'm assuming he starts. If he doesn't start, then we've got a bit of a conundrum, but a bit of a gamble. That's why Bruno's gone. I replaced Bruno with Traore. Now, Traore is a huge differential if he does well. Only owned by 2% of players. All the Wolverhampton players have low ownership because they've lost their first 3 games in a row, all 1-0. But I think when you apply some context to it, it's really not all that bad. A, he's only 6 million, so he's incredibly cheap, allowing me to bolster the rest of my team. Which you guys will see me get into in a minute. I threw out Tony for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. With the extra savings I got from getting Adama in the team. What you have to account for, they played Tottenham and Manchester United. And if you saw them against Manchester United, you know, bad result, but they passed the eye test, right? From a statistical standpoint, they've created the second most chances in the league and conceded the second least chances in the league. So despite the results, they are, you know, numerically very good going forward and very good defending so far. Leicester is not a small fixture either. You know, I think when you take the expected data like that into account, I think Adama leads Wolves in terms of expected goals and assists. When you take all that into account, how they play against these 3 tough opponents, and then look at the fact that they play Watford, Brentford, Southampton, Newcastle, Villa, and Leeds next, you know, even Everton, Crystal Palace, Wolves, I could go on for days. It's a really good run of fixtures here. So I think for at least 6 million, to take a bit of a punt on Adama, who seems to have at least, based on the eye test, been Wolverhampton's best player so far. What I mean by eye test is, you know, not looking into the numbers too much, just how he's played by watching the games. I think either him, Raul, and Trincao could all be quite good over this next run of fixtures. Obviously, all they've got to do is score goals, but I think they definitely can against the likes of these teams. And then my final change, I got rid of Tony, who despite scoring in the last game, I got rid of him because, well, I took a hit to do this, and it's also a bit of a gamble because Dominic Calvert-Lewin is withdrawn from the England team because of his supposed thigh strain and broken toe. But I think it's interesting to note, he's played through the last 3 matches with the same injuries, I believe, and now he's got a 2-week rest over the international break. So again, it's a bit of a gamble. I mean, I'm really screwed if Ronaldo and Calvert-Lewin don't play. But my thought process for just taking the hit here and bringing him in for a -4, you know, I could have played Tony for 1 more week and, you know, hoped he did well and then brought in Dominic Calvert-Lewin afterwards. But so my thought process for bringing in Dominic Calvert-Lewin was purely based on statistics. Without giving you guys the exact numbers, basically speaking, Burnley, who Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Everton play at home next week, have quite literally conceded the most chances from inside the box, which is a stat where Dominic Calvert-Lewin is close to the top of the league. out of all the attackers, has not the absolute most, but is up there towards the top with most goals inside the box. And Everton, overall offensively, have created some of the most shots, had some of the highest on-target conversion for their shots. Not goal conversion, but some of the, I think the second highest percentage in the league for their shots going on target, as well as the second most overall, and barely have conceded the most shots inside the box. And then when you compare that to Ivan Toney, not too sure on how to say it, he's up against Brighton next week, who have, in terms of shots conceded, are, you know, up there with the likes of United and Liverpool so far. They have a very good defense. And then you look at Brentford, and in terms of goal threat, they've been very low statistically. So I think they are only having a chance around like every 10 minutes, whereas Everton are having one like every 4 or 5 minutes. It really is a totally different story. So I've kind of just taken a hit here to potentially beat a price rise on Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He's at 8.2. Wouldn't be surprised if he went up to 8.3 shortly. So I've kind of brought him in because he does have a better matchup next week. I expect him to get more points than Toney, and it's also been done in an effort to avoid a potential price rise or kind of get ahead of the curve. So there it is, guys. Here's my team. You've kind of been able to see it all the whole time, but hopefully you guys agree with my changes. If you don't, let me know in the comments down below. I do understand this is a bit risky, and perhaps it's a bit early in the season to go with a bit of risk, but you know, that being said, I think Arsenal's fixture is okay despite their form. I think Wolves have been playing well despite the results they've been getting. I think Ronaldo and Calvert-Lewin, with, you know, the odd chance they don't both start their games in this upcoming game week, with the exception of that, I really don't think they're that risky. You know, I've got Livramento on my bench. If anything does go wrong and one of my players doesn't play, he could potentially get an attacking return. He's been starting like, what, 90 minutes every game for Southampton, so he's a decent cheap bench option. I really do feel confident with this team, and I like the fact that Ronaldo, you know, Ronaldo's 12% ownership, Calvert-Lewin is 15% ownership, Traore is 2% ownership, Ben White is 13% ownership. I think these teams with these players with their teams having good fixtures going forward, you know, I think these are good players to have in the team at the moment, as well as the rest of my team. Obviously, you know, no need to mention Antonio or Trent or Salah. Rafinha, again, as I mentioned earlier, after this Liverpool game, where I unfortunately don't expect them to do much. You know, look at this run of fixtures they've got going for them. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Like I said, we're in the top 261,000 in the world, roughly. Hopefully that goes up after this upcoming week. And yeah, we'll see how you guys go, and I will keep you updated with my decisions and progress throughout the season. Thank you so much for watching. Hope FPL goes well for you guys, and peace out.